Here we go again. The synergistic role of pneumococcus and influenza. All that means is they're partners in crime. They work together. Pneumococcal pneumonia is recognized as a complication of influenza disease. The majority of the deaths in the 1918 pandemic, I think only Glover was the only one around here. The 1918 pandemic was associated with secondary bacterial infections, mainly caused by pneumococcal disease. So people flew, but they died because of the pneumococcal disease. During the H1N1 pandemic, there was a significant role played by the bacterial, pneumococcal bacteria. At least a third of the deaths in the H1N1 were caused by the pneumococcus, not the flu. They had flu, but they died from pneumococcal disease. Pneumococcal vaccines reduce morbidity and mortality, and again, you ought to get your appropriately be vaccinated against pneumococcal disease. All right, here's the recommendations, and there's a slight difference in here that I think you need to talk to your physicians about. A single dose of vaccine, PP, the pneumococcal polysaccharide vaccine, is recommended for all persons 65 years of age and older. And after 65, there's no need for revaccination. Ask me, why is that? Well, I think that the rationale is that, number one, the efficacy of the vaccine, beyond that, your immune system, the cost, and there's no data to support the usefulness after 65 years of age. But it's not contraindicated to get it after 65 years of age more than once. Persons 2 years to 64 years of age who are immunocompromised because they have another chronic health condition should get a single revaccination dose if 5 or more years after the first dose. So if you had one dose and you fall into 2 to 64 years of age and you're immunocompromised, you need a second dose 5 years later. And lastly, persons vaccinated at under 65 years of age should receive a revaccination dose if you're currently 65 or older and you've had 5 years between the last dose you got. So if you got a dose of pneumococcal before you were 65 and 5 years have passed, you need to get another dose. Now, pneumococcal conjugate vaccine, that should be PCV, not PVC. Pneumococcal conjugate vaccine. This is a vaccine that's been licensed for children for quite a while. In June 20th of this year, they made recommendations, again, the advisory committee, for persons 19 years of age and older who have immunocompromising conditions and chronic health conditions. Recommendations are, if you've not been previously vaccinated with the PPSD, which was the last vaccine we just talked about, there are 90 serotypes for pneumococcal disease. 23 of them are covered in the PP23. 13 of them are covered in the PCV13. The kicker is if you've not previously been vaccinated with the PPSV23, you should get one dose of PCV13 followed by a dose of the 23 8 weeks later. If you've previously vaccinated with 23, administer one dose of PCV13 one or more years after the last dose of PPSV23. So this is something, this vaccine is something that you need to ask your physician about. It's a brand new recommendation for people over 19 years of age. But I think even though it only addresses 13 serotypes, it's a conjugated vaccine. It should give you a higher response rate and it should last longer. And I think what you will see as they continue to be, I mean, this used to be PCB 7 a year ago. Now it's PCB 13. They've added serotypes. We're probably going to see this replace the polysaccharide vaccine in a few years when they get enough serotypes. This is biome and longer lasting vaccine. But it's something you want to talk to your physician about. In that meeting, I think Russell's going to.
Hi. I just have a quick question. Why would cochlear implants make you more of a candidate for having the pneumonia vaccine? Is there a correlation between
I can't answer that question. They've always been, there must be. In fact, I don't know why, like I say, but cochlear implants have been a high-risk condition and strongly recommended.
All right, so I'm going to hang around because I'm just going to go get your shot anyway. And
Yes, ma'am.
the person will take care of Mr. And I'm going to get his shot.
Question was, when should you get the pneumonia vaccine? Routinely, when you're 65 and older, unless you have an immunocompromising condition, then you would get it before with a booster dose 5 years after your first dose. And then if you're 65 and you've only had one dose, if you got your first dose before you were 65, you need to have another dose after your first, as long as they've been 5 years between your doses. Your spleen was removed?
I wanted him.
Without your spleen? Yes. All right. Last thing. Yes, sir.
It was in the news a few months ago that I think everyone born in 1960 and later should get a hepatitis C vaccination. But about 48 hours later, never heard another word about it.
Hepatitis C? We don't have a hepatitis C vaccine.
Maybe it was hepatitis A. I
B,
forgot.
it's probably hepatitis B.
It was C. I remember that because
Okay.
of that age group.
It was in the news like 2 days in a row. After that, we haven't heard another word about it.
Yeah, we don't have an aware of hepatitis C vaccine. Yeah. Got it? Coming now? Okay. All right, last year, you remember I talked about, and I'm going to talk to you about it again because it is really a problem and it's a growing problem. Most of you probably recognize whooping cough. Whooping cough.
You know, Jim,
Yeah.
this is not your fault. We tried to be really prudent in the money we spent. Because the cheapest thing we could find. But there's a way to skin this. Let's see what we can
Okay, it's working now. We just keep plugging along. That's all right. Not your fault. It's, you may or may not know.
Hey, Russell, it already went out on the poor man. You hadn't hurt your back.
I wanted it.
I think I infected her.
I think so, yeah. Are there some over here?
Keep fiddling with it.
Now?
Yeah.
All right. Maybe we get it still working. Okay. All right, let's get through this. Let's talk a little bit about custis. Custis is, again, bacterial infection, highly infectious, very debilitating cough. We used to call it the 100-day cough because she coughed 100 days.
Oh, you grew up that time. Oh, then you were dead, right?
Well, not always. Usually with adults, you don't really die. You just wish you would.